Well, hello, everybody. This is Buddy, and I'm supposed to be live, and I don't know if I am. I must be doing something wrong at some level with this thing, and it's not telling me. Oh, I can see I'm live, and I got that cover up instead of the one I wanted, and I got the name, all of it, uh, not what the show's about. Did that show last night. Ain't that something? I'm telling you. You gotta love it. All right. There's a lot to talk about, mm, a lot to get around to understanding these live streams and why I got to cancel the old live and redo it because evidently it's not working like I was thinking it was going to work. I'll figure this out. Thank y'all for being patient. And for the how many's that's watching, maybe it doesn't matter. It's fine. All right, let me see if I can get my mind wrapped around what I want to talk about. Let me just jump to the earthquake. Wow. That seems to be like on everybody's mind on the YouTube, but it is a pretty bad situation. It's in Myanmar.
Earthquake strikes Myanmar and Thailand.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. We don't know all of the facts right now, but we do know that it's it was pretty bad. You can see this building right here where my cursor is. You can watch it fall to the ground. I'm going to cut the volume down and I'm going to play just a few seconds of it. That building was under construction and it shouldn't have failed, even though it was under construction. But when we get the actual facts about what's going on with this particular event, we don't even know necessarily the death count or anything right now. It's in one way it's predicted to climb, and in another way, hopefully not. That's the same image of that building right there that collapsed. They say there's 100 construction workers missing. Boy, my heart really goes out to them because they was in harm's way and they didn't have a chance. But this is a picture of the video before the building collapsed. Pretty, pretty bad. But as you can see, all the news stories on this feed right here is talking about it. Thousands of videos, people's cell phones and everything. People are constantly uploading to the internet about this particular event. I got a flickering effect going on. That's something. Let me change that and it may stop. Yeah, I think it'll stop it. Yeah, my lighting ain't really professional, is it? I hope you can hear me, so I'm gonna keep this microphone kind of close to me. Oh, it hit me. I pushed it in and it hit me. All right, let me get my head wrapped around some of these facts about what I want to talk about. Along with this event that we're looking at, we're having a bee collapse. And this was predicted by Rudolf Steiner 100 years ago. Listen to this.
Rudolf Steiner predicted bee colony collapse 100 years ago. From his perspective, it was due to the industrialization of beekeeping that would weaken their vitality. Now adding pesticides, chemtrails, monoculture, and suburban lawns lacking flowers to that, and the bee population is now in a desperate situation. It's imperative for the health of our planet to save the bees. Without them, no life could exist. This is the real environmental catastrophe. Personally, I'm looking for clean land where I can grow healthy flowers to attract and support bees full of vitality.
Now, it's symbolic that we got bees collapsing and we got these earthquakes. There's always going to be earthquakes, but the signs are that we're in a spiritual change. The collective consciousness has been controlled by the elites. And when I say elites, I'm talking about people that are not quite like you and I. You and I come from first source. And some of these interlopers into this cosmic reality that's a holographic simulated reality, if you'll bear with me on that. But the truth is that we haven't been told the truth about who we are. And until mankind and the human race as a whole can get a bearing on the identity of who and what we are, and when is very important. When are we? Now is the only time there ever is and ever will be. The whole world was controlled for centuries because they had spell spinners in place of what they told us was the rulers, the politicians that they pushed forth. And you could see their faces, you can hear their voices. You know, think back when there was no TV, no radio. We were still controlled by puppets, puppet masters, because the spell spinners are not even what we think they are. Their abilities to do these things to control the masses is through the collective consciousness of the sheep. And one of the first things that they did to control people all over this world is took over every religion, Hinduism, Buddha. Let me listen to this, see what this is. Hang on. I got me a little thing so I can kind of hear. Yeah, I'm trying all kinds of things to bring this live to life. But when you got someone controlling the narrative of the story and rewriting history and changing the truth about religion in every form, Buddha, Hindu, Muslim, all of it has been subject to be a lie, a twist, and a diabolical turn. And it takes the very essence of who you are away from you and puts it in the hands of others that they give power to, the Pope, the Dalai Lama. And this time we've got to question everything. Now, I want to show you this about the collapse of the bees, and I want you to hear what I'm saying.
Honeybee colony losses. According to a 2023 report from the Bee Informed Partnership, U.S. beekeepers lost 48.2% of their managed honeybee colonies from April 2022 to April 2023. This is the second highest loss rate since record keeping began in 2007, with an average annual loss rate of 39.4% over the past 12 years. A PBS News report from June 2023 noted a 48% loss in the year ending April 1, 2023, up from 39% the previous year, though not as high as the 50.8% loss in 2020 to 2021. Beekeepers consider a 21% winter loss acceptable, but over 60% of beekeepers reported higher losses, indicating a persistent crisis. Wild bee populations. Data on wild bees is less comprehensive, but a 2023 USDA Forest Service study in northeastern Georgia found that bee species diversity dropped by nearly 40% and individual bee numbers declined by over 60% over 15 years, 2007 to 2022, even in undisturbed forests. This suggests wild bees are also in significant decline, with factors like climate change and invasive species, example Asian needle ants, contributing. Population trends. Despite high loss rates, the total number of managed honeybee colonies in the U.S. has been relatively stable at around 2.6 to 2.7 million hives over the past 2 decades, thanks to beekeepers' efforts to split and restock hives. However, a Washington Post article from March 2024 reported a surprising boom, with the U.S. honeybee population reaching an all-time high of 3.8 million colonies, a million more than 5 years prior, largely driven by the demand for pollination in almond orchards. This doesn't mean the crisis is over. Colonies are weaker, and beekeepers are working harder to maintain numbers. Current sentiment on X. Posts on X as of today reflect ongoing concern. One user, @KarenAmazier, mentioned Rudolf Steiner's 100-year-old prediction of bee colony collapse due to industrialized beekeeping, exacerbated by modern issues like pesticides, chemtrails, monoculture, and suburban lawns lacking flowers. Another user, @Darla_Wait, warned that losing honeybees could lead to humanity's downfall because nothing will grow without pollinators. A post from earlier this month, @TreeMissions, claimed a 40% drop in U.S. bee populations since 2006, threatening the global food supply since bees pollinate 70% of the world's crops. These posts highlight a narrative of alarm, though they lack specific 2025 data to confirm the alarming rates you saw in the video. Critical take. The narrative of bees dying at alarming rates has been a concern for years, but the 2024 data showing a record high in managed colonies challenges the idea of an immediate collapse. However, the high loss rates and the decline in wild bees suggest the situation remains precarious. The lack of 2025 specific data means we can't confirm if the video's claim of alarming rates this year is accurate, but the sentiment on X aligns with ongoing worry. Beekeepers' efforts to maintain colony numbers through splitting might be masking deeper systemic issues, especially for wild bees, which don't get the same support. Connecting bee decline to spirituality. Since your live stream tonight is focused on a spiritual conversation, spiritual strategies to survive political chaos, and March madness. Finding peace in the madness, let's explore how the bee decline ties into spirituality in a way that resonates with your audience's free-spirited, mindfulness-focused vibe. Bees as spiritual symbols. In many spiritual traditions, bees symbolize community, harmony, and the interconnectedness of life. They're often seen as messengers of the divine, working tirelessly to pollinate and sustain ecosystems, much like how spiritual practices sustain the soul. The decline of bees can be framed as a spiritual wake-up call, a sign that humanity is out of balance with nature, a theme that aligns with your audience's interest in mindfulness and living thoughtfully.
Now you're seeing the notes behind the notes of when I laid this thing out with Grok XAI, and the Steiner prediction is very interesting. We've had this type of warning from other events that have echoed through time that had to do with, now we know why there were great resets. This is not the first time that we've been here at this so-called height of technology. No, this whole world in the simulated holographic reality has been through multiple resets, multiple world calamities, floods, earthquakes. This is just a control system that right now we have no control over. But that's going to change.
Steiner's prediction and spiritual insight. The X post mentioning Rudolf Steiner's prediction offers a spiritual angle. Steiner, a philosopher and founder of anthroposophy, predicted in the 1920s that industrial beekeeping would weaken bees' vitality within a century. His perspective ties spirituality to ecology, suggesting that humanity's disconnection from nature, through industrialization, pesticides, and monoculture, is a spiritual failing. You could frame this as a call to return to a more harmonious, spiritually aligned way of living, perhaps by supporting organic farming or planting pollinator gardens as acts of spiritual stewardship. Interconnectedness and responsibility. Spiritually, the decline of bees underscores our interconnectedness with all life. If bees suffer, so do we, as they pollinate crops that sustain us. This mirrors the spiritual principle of unity. What harms one part of the web of life harms the whole. You could encourage your audience to reflect on their role in this web, using practices like smudging with sage, a ritual for cleansing and grounding, to set intentions for protecting nature. What happens if bees disappear? Do people go away? The video you saw likely raised the stakes by suggesting that if bees disappear, humanity might follow. Let's break this down with a critical eye. Bees' role in food production. Bees are critical pollinators. According to Greenpeace, bees, wild and domestic, perform 80% of global pollination, with a single colony pollinating 300 million flowers daily. In the US, honeybees pollinate $15 to $20 billion worth of crops annually, including over 100 crops like nuts, vegetables, berries, citrus, and melons. PBS News, 2023. The Ohio State University notes that bees pollinate 1/3 of the world's food supply, including staples like apples, almonds, and coffee. Impact of bee loss. If bees were to disappear entirely, the consequences would be severe but not necessarily apocalyptic. Yale E360, 2013, reported that 71 of the 100 most important global food crops depend on insect pollination. Without bees, yields of these crops would plummet, leading to food scarcity, higher prices, and nutritional deficits. For example, California's almond industry, which relies on 1.6 million bee colonies annually, would collapse without bees, affecting global almond supply, a $4 billion industry, per the Washington Post.
I try to get where I can see, hear, and think at the same time, and then I do a mistake like that, talking with the mic down. I'm so sorry. Dadgummit. Y'all got to forgive me. I'm just going to keep practicing and not give up and just, I know it's very important for my mic to be up all the time. And I let it go down so we could hear I could get a hearing for what was said. And dadgummit, I blew it. All of these photos are connected to this story of what we're going through right now. These people that have put this tale to words and videos, it's well worth looking into what's going on in this world. I love that picture right there. That says a whole lot. In a simulated holographic reality, the Earth is still not what we think it is. It's both. It's flat and round. And get this, it's non-existing. It's not what you think it is. That's my mother. Bless her heart. And that's a movie that'll tell you about speeding up time. Click. Very important. All these links have great significance to me in my awakening. It may not mean anything to you. Oh, let me show you that. That's Bob Steck. Bless his heart. Yeah, he transitioned. And you see that man right there? That's me. And that's a representation of a lot of people that felt like they had to do something because everybody else was doing it. And I'm going to be me. See how he's got his arms crossed? He ain't studying nothing except truth. I don't know how I got off on these pictures, but one little click leads to everything. Julian Assange was a man that was a journalist, and they just totally ruined his life. He's steadily trying to rebuild it. Might do a story about him one day where you'll get a real rounded effect of why they persecuted him the way they did. I live by this. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. Let me read this. I haven't read this in a long time.
Do something today that your future self will thank you for. Is it okay to do nothing on rest days? To be clear, the worst thing you can do on your rest day is absolutely nothing. You want to aim for light, gentle movements. Avoid strenuous activities which would put more stress on the body. Rest days can consist of normal activities such as walking, light cardio, etc.
That's what you got to do to keep your body healthy and strong. You want to exercise. Oh, look at that. I had a beard and long. I still got long hair. Don't get me wrong. But my beard ain't quite that long no more. The Great Awakening. That phrase, the Great Awakening, was pulled from the internet during that time that we went through all that censorship. So I've been tying things to the Great Awakening for 15 years. Give you a little idea why they wanted to co-opt the Great Awakening. Basically banned it from the internet. All of this is old news. I'm going to thumb through it. Where we one go, we all go. I think that's what this is. That's my bicycle. Peaceful Warrior. That is a beautiful movie.
Peaceful Warrior is a 2006 drama film directed by Victor Salva and written by Kevin Bernhard based on the 1980 novel Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. Set at UC Berkeley, the film stars Scott McCloskey as a troubled but talented gymnast who meets a spiritual guide portrayed by Nick Nolte. Peaceful warriors are honorable, courageous, and compassionate human beings who make a difference by having lived and lived well. Peaceful warriors are time-tested and pain-sharpened, having gone through hell in order to discover that heaven is within.
That was a beautiful movie. If you haven't seen it, it's one of those things you gotta watch. Spiritual movies are well worth looking into. All right, I'm going to switch that off. It's distracted me. And where we were and what we were talking about. Let me see if I can get back to that. Let's hear this.
Ecosystem collapse. Beyond food, bees support ecosystems by pollinating wild plants, which sustain other wildlife. The European Parliament, 2019, noted that 78% of wildflower species and 84% of crop species in the EU depend on insect pollination. A decline in bees could lead to a domino effect, reducing biodiversity, destabilizing ecosystems, and affecting other species that humans rely on indirectly. Example for soil health, water filtration. Mitigation possibilities. Humans are adaptable. If bees disappeared, we could turn to alternative pollinators, example butterflies, moths, bats, though they're also declining. Hand pollination, as practiced in some parts of China where bees are scarce, is labor-intensive and costly but possible for high-value crops. Self-pollinating crops, like some almond varieties, could be prioritized, though they're a minority. Long-term, the loss of bees would force a major restructuring of agriculture, likely leading to a less diverse, more expensive food system. Critical take, the idea that people go away if bees disappear is an oversimplification. We wouldn't face immediate extinction, but the quality of life would degrade significantly. Less diverse diets, higher food costs, and ecosystem instability. The ex-posts reflect a real fear, but they overstate the immediacy of human extinction. The more pressing concern is the gradual erosion of food security and biodiversity, which could exacerbate existing inequalities and environmental crises. Spiritual angle. For your audience, you could frame this as a spiritual lesson in interdependence. If bees go away, we don't disappear overnight, but our world gets smaller, less color, less flavor, less life. Spiritually, it's a reminder that we're all connected. What we do to the bees, we do to ourselves. Let's manifest a future where bees thrive, because that's a future where we thrive too. Trending topics on X. While bee decline isn't explicitly listed in the trending topics you provided, there are adjacent themes. The end of Ramadan 2025 approaches. Trend focuses on spiritual reflection, which aligns with your live stream's theme. You could tie the bee crisis to this by discussing how spiritual growth during Ramadan, or any reflective period, can inspire action to protect nature, like supporting bees. The sports trends, Baylor Shea-Erman and Najee Marshall, and entertainment trends, L.J. Smith's passing, don't directly relate, but the debate on LLMs trend highlights a broader discourse on technology and reliability, which could be a metaphor for questioning industrial practices, like beekeeping, that harm bees. Critical take, the lack of bee-specific trends today suggests the topic isn't at the forefront of X conversations right now, possibly overshadowed by events like March Madness or Ramadan. However, the sentiment in recent posts shows that bee decline remains a concern for some users, echoing the video you saw. The absence of 2025 data means we can't confirm if the alarming rates are a new development, but the
And
historical data
these
and
are
ongoing discourse
notes
suggest it's a persistent
to
issue.
me. You're not supposed to hear all that, but I can't see the words good enough to realize I'm telling you, showing you something that is meant just for me. I want to see what this says about this last part.
Spiritual connection. Bees are more than just insects, they're spiritual symbols of harmony and community. When they suffer, it's a sign we're out of balance. Rudolf Steiner predicted this collapse 100 years ago, saying our industrial ways would weaken their vitality. Spiritually, this is a call to action. Let's use mindfulness to reconnect with nature, maybe meditate on a thriving ecosystem, or set an intention to plant a pollinator garden. Impact on humans. If bees disappear, we don't vanish overnight, but life gets harder. Bees pollinate a third of our food, think apples, almonds, coffee. Without them, food gets scarce, prices skyrocket, and our diets lose color. It's not the end of humanity, but it's the end of life as we know it. Spiritually, it reminds us we're all connected. What harms the bees harms us. Practical spiritual strategies. Let's bring some peace to this madness. Try a gratitude ritual tonight, thank the bees for their work, and manifest their recovery. Grab a crystal like amethyst to calm your anxiety about the planet, or smudge with sage to set an intention for healing nature. And if you're watching March Madness, think of the bees as the underdog team. They need our support to make a comeback. Engage your audience. What's your spiritual take on the bee crisis? How do you stay grounded when nature feels out of balance? Drop your thoughts in the chat. I'd love to hear how you're finding peace in this madness.
Okay. Those are things that was designed and said to help remind me of what I want to talk about. But it does absolutely no good once it gets, in his head and I go blank. That's all right. The gist of everything is this. When things seem to be just totally out of our control, look at some pretty pictures and come to the conclusion within your own being that there's absolutely nothing we can control except our thoughts. Our thoughts are what gets us into trouble, and it's our thoughts that will ultimately get us out of this reality. With our thoughts and our words spoken vibratorily, where the vibration is penetrating the air and the environment that we're in. So when you pray and you're doing this modality of speaking life to your atoms, your cells, your DNA, you want to speak it with the resurrected power of the I am, that I am and we are. The Creator, first source, has embedded the hack, a code within each and every molecule, down to the very essence of the mitochondria cells and the telomeres. They're not going to teach this to our young children. They're not going to teach this to older people. But your thoughts have to become awakened to the true nature of your reality and your true identity. Until you can make a shift within your thinking, you're going to be swayed by every breaking news story. And everything's going to seem and hear and sound like a disaster. These things are normal. The collapses of societies and the ebb and flow of this cosmic shift. We're just at a point where we can go horribly wrong or we can go horribly correct. With enough good information, by you doing your research and Have your inner knowing, the knowing that comes from your heart, and the truth of who and what you are and what has happened in your life to get you to the state of, in my case, reaching the end of me. And there's going to be a lot of people that have to get to the end of them before they'll ever hear that these people on this stage of what we call leaders are only actors and puppets and puppet masters. They're very damn smart. They're very intelligent. And if you watch the way they do their business, I just give you this scenario. It just works for me. In professional wrestling, you got the good guys, the baby faces, and you got the heels, the bad guys. And then you got companies. One company's Monday night. That's Raw, and it's red. Then you got SmackDown. That's the other company, owned by the same corporation, but they're blue. What does that remind you of? Don't it remind you of Democrats? I never, even as a little kid, I never understood why a damn elephant stood for anything to do with politics. And then the donkey. Okay, what is it? The red is the elephant, the Republicans. And then yeah, you see what I'm saying? It's a cluster, confusion, spell spinning damn thing. There was this guy on the YouTube. He did this bull analysis. The bull. If I find him, I'm going to link to him and so it'll be on my Facebook, my Twitter. But he was so good. He was cracking through the wall of this reality so good that as soon as he got a good following, they'd take his channel down. The ones that have touched greatness are not on YouTube with a big audience. The ones that are on TV and the internet that have these huge audiences, don't let them fool you. They're being put in high places with big audiences because they not gonna ever, never tell you what's really going on. It's gonna take somebody like me to come across to somebody like you to go and you do your own research and you'll find out that we're in a world of hurt when it comes to information and how this you can do your own research. You got to dig. And speaking of digging, let me do this real quick. I know that took 4 clicks and I quit talking, but you got to excuse me. I don't mean to be not talking when I'm doing that. But at the buddyhuggins.com, it shows up here buddyhuggins.blogspot.com, but just go to buddyhuggins.com and search that or search my name and you'll find that on any other browser besides Google, you could see all of my information. Matter of fact, I'll do it real quick. Let me do it real quick to show you. Misspelling my own name. Damn it. There it is. Now, this is the Microsoft browser. I'll go to images. I want you to look at all of the informational things about Buddy Huggins right there. All of that information is there that should be all across the internet based on how long I've been online with a footprint of telling the truth about this reality. So this is Edge browser, I'm pretty sure. But that'll give you an example. Now watch this. We're going to go to, this is called Google Chrome. Let me put my name in there. All right. Now we're going to search the same thing I just searched, images. And I want you to look at how few that link back to buddyhuggins.com. A factual, informational scrubbing of the internet is what you see. Is they don't want me to be a part of Google the way other people are a part of Google. And that's okay. But if you go back to this one, you'll find out everything you need to know about how censorship works on the internet. And that's why they censored me so heavily and so much that, yeah, it, in a way, it just made me even more at peace with who I am and what I am. I may never have a huge audience. That's okay. It'll be completely fine because this is a reality of this universe. If I say or do anything that inspires anyone, I've done my job. There's not many of us here. It looks like we got to be these big influencers with all these millions of subscribers. If soon as they tell you or their audience that the creator of First Source is their father, they're going to drop down in clicks. This information is not readily approved by the censorship system. And the reason is you can't control the masses if they know their true identity and they know that this simulated holographic reality is a soul trap on top of a death trap, on top of a conspiracy theory linked all the way back to the beginning and what time itself is or isn't. That's what they don't want you to know, because when you really grasp who you are, and that you're an immortal light body being inhabiting a physical form, they can't control you. They never will be able to. And the secret about this life is to do no harm to no thing or no one. Love everything about everything. Stop judging the smallest thing because it comes back right on you and it gets bigger and bigger. This world needs spiritual people, especially these young people. And there are young people out there that are awakening at great numbers. And that's wonderful. I'm happy to see it. And I think it's a great thing. All right. We was at Google and we have nothing that ties me back to buddyhuggins.com because buddyhuggins.com is my library. It's not your library. It's my library. It's where I embedded knowledge of my awakening and what I came to know as the truth. We'll go all the way back to the beginning. This is by the month, January, February, March, 19 posts. But look at the years, all the way back to 2009. That's one of my first posts right there. That's what got me all upset about nothing, because I had people telling me that I was living in a false sense of who I was. And they were right. I was out of my mind. I was totally out of my mind. I had to stop and listen to people tell me that there was horrible things happening in this world, because I'd lived in a state of bodhisattva for about 2.5 years, maybe 3. I don't know. It's time doesn't matter. But the point is, I didn't have anything to do with nothing but joy and peace. I stayed in that state so long and so in bliss that people had to make me look at what the world was doing with all of this evidential information coming out about an event that is a big enough event that not only did it change the reality, its full disclosure has not yet been spoken of, because the doers of the deed are protected by Luciferians at a high Anunnaki and Nephilian bloodline that nobody wants to tangle with. Nobody wants to fight them. Nobody wants to come against them. They are the controllers of the world, and they control everything that we think is precious. But if you go through and you'll see, it's volumes and volumes of information. A lot of people would remember this. This is one of the first stargates that we actually had evidence of in Norway. It was the 12/12/2009, and it was an upgrade to our code. And that David Wilcox, I don't know if the video is still working, but see, don't let that stop you when you're looking through my library, because you can take these key words. Let's just do it. Pop that in right there, copy it. Now go over here to uh let's just take this earthquake stuff. You've seen how much that was. Now let's go put something in there that can give you some life and see what we find. I didn't practice this or nothing. I'm just putting it in there. Now you get some stuff that you can look at without me turning it on. I just want to kind of go through it a little bit. And yeah, that's the kind of information that explains a story. And all of these links may not have to do with anything that you're looking for, but the mechanism is to even sometimes look at something that you don't want to look at. And you'll find that they are people that are very confused about a lot of things. This is not a science. This particular library of mine is what it is. And but you'll build your own library as a truth seeker, and you'll find other people that can relate to your stories and your awakening story. And when you do, you'll find someone that connects with you. And that's good to have those people in your life. I opened up the year December 2020. A lot of those videos have been taken down. I just love old cars. They're just too cool. Oh, that makes me think about something. Yeah, yeah. Well, let me do this real quick. This is how I make videos with Clipchamp. I've done through other platforms, but I like this one. I'm going to play it, and you can hear this video's unedited. I just set the tracks in place, and I just want you to experience what I do when I story tell. And they got that Q decking down, and now they got to weld it. And they got it going on. I think it's been nearly 2 weeks, and 2 weeks ago they didn't have no Q decking even on site, but now they got it down. One of them did tell me that the Green Bridge is over there on that side. It hadn't even been disassembled from what he said, but move it to where they're going to move it with the county, they're going to have to disassemble it and then rebuild it. Be interesting to see that go down. All right, I'm gonna go. Just thought I'd show you a picture of that while I had a chance. Yeah, I'm taking a picture of myself, so if you see me moving and doing it, got to get a few of them so I know I got a good one. All right. Y'all have a wonderful day. That's going to be a real pretty bridge. All right. I showed you that to let you know this. We're storytellers. We're the ones that will, on the backside of this, have a lot to say. When the disclosure comes out about that one event, oh my God, there's 20 events, but there's the one in my life that made me ask the question 9/11 was because I woke up August the 17th, 2003, and my mind became still, and I became like a bodhisattva. I was totally at peace with what was and what is and what could be. But I had to get shaken to the bones, to the marrow, and to ask that question. When that one particular man did what he did and told me there was evil in the world, and he wanted me to know that. So that's when I asked my Father, first source, creator of all things that's eternal. And that's when I found out where all evil come from. And that's why I'm one of the most censored persons on the internet. They don't want me to tell you, so I don't tell you. I don't blast it out to everybody. But you better believe if they can do that to innocent people, is not right. And that's why we're out of step. All of humanity has been out of step since that event. That was 2001 and then 2012. And I can tell you some things about 2012 that will make you understand when I say reset, Mandela effect, and what the hell happened to our timeline. And then I can tell you about a time before 2012 where the whole game shifted. 888, August the 8th, 2008. I've got stories to tell and videos to make about my bike riding and what I see in Ozark, Missouri, Rogersville. Eat right and start eating real food. So if we do go to a food collapse, you'll be able to take the physical food in a small amount, like Emily Limley taught me to put a small amount and eat only one time a day. That's intermittent fasting. It's going to be the best thing to save your friends, your family, and all of your loved ones. Everybody is eating too much. This won't make no sense if the bees don't collapse and we don't go down that road. It's just a healthy way to live. Start now and you'll thank yourself for it. All right, we're coming up on almost an hour of me talking. And yeah, I got to fix the starting of this thing so I can start every day at the right time. I'm going to have to cancel that one connection to one live stream thingy to another one, and I got to make them be new. So I've got to ask Grok and AI and do searches to figure it out. Somehow I made it start tonight. I made it start last night, and today is Friday. I'm going to be back live Saturday at 7 o'clock. If you come on my channel at 7 o'clock and I'm not live, I'm going to set it for 7:15. And if I miss 7:15, I'm going to set it for 7:30. I don't quit and I don't give up. I try to learn the best I can to solve these glitches and have fun talking to y'all people about what kind of world we live in. The more of us that realize the truth about this reality, the quicker we can get on about the business of being at contentment with it. Sometimes, if you can't beat it, you just be so content that it changes the environment around you. Ain't that something? Y'all think about that one. What do you mean we got to change our thinking? Yeah, you got to change the thoughts into one of love and peace. And you'll have peace and love and prosperity and an abundance of everything that is real. Because ain't nothing real about this controlled system of reality. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. And we're right at 1 hour. I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight. Thank you for watching my channel. I really appreciate it. Come back and see what I got to say next time. Bye bye.